absolutely no sense. Then he's picking it up when he bottles, so I don't buy it for a second. It's the way of swagging on their opponents.
Oh dear, right, well, craziness potentially starts right now here in the draft. What are we banning?
I mean, we're banning the Huskar for reasons that we just saw in the last game, for reasons that we've seen from Unknown's past. They love picking the Huskar. This is the kind of team that will pick a Huskar and a TA, and they'll just run at you minute 10. So you can understand why Newbee's taking that out with the first
So have
ban.
Newbee covered all their bases, though?
There's some research, but have they done all of it? This is the power of Peru, you see. They force you to ban these heroes, and then suddenly the top heroes in this meta, they're still in the pool potentially. I mean, Doom and Slardar obviously being taken out by Unknown, which is totally understandable.
Tusk is still in there
Big
as well.
heroes, Shadow Fiend for this team, Templar Assassin, they love these heroes for a tune in the mid lane. Queen of Pain is one of Kataro's go-tos if they want him to be a little more independent. There's also Darkseer Wyvern out there. That's a more safe opening, not something Unknown generally would go for this early, but it is an option.
Nothing surprising with the first pick Tusk.
No, not at all. Not at all, especially from a team like Newbee.
Yeah. And Newbee have first pick, which I think is more important.
Exactly. Yeah.
Actually haven't seen very many teams dire with first pick this tournament.
No. Not a huge amount.
I wonder if they take something like the Undying or the Darkseer here. I think both are kind of heroes that really complement the kind of play style that Unknown go for.
Do they tend to play the Slardar? Doom?
Well, Slardar...
they do play the Slardar. It is...
Everyone plays Slardar.
Everyone. I mean, who doesn't play Slardar?
Everyone plays Doom.
If you're not playing Slardar, you didn't get into this LAN.
Yeah.
That's true.
There's actually a few teams here that don't, but I think that's a mistake.
They're going
there's like 2 teams.
But they should be playing Slardar.
They should. Oh, there we go. I said it.
The
You got to get
and the Wyvern comes out as well.
I said they picked TA and Huskar and run at you.
Okay.
Did you want to get a room or?
No. I'm just keeping them on.
So TA and Wyvern.
So
no
pretty safe
surprise.
for them.
Yeah.
So I think if you're a Newbie, you want to either take Darkseer here or ban him out in the next phase. I think he's pretty nice to have in this phase, though. Really good versus the TA refraction, and they heavily rely on the TA for damage output.
Tusk Gyro.
Tusk Gyro, okay.
So this is kind of in a similar vein. This is a hero that can blow through the refraction pretty quickly. Strong laning support, and yeah, I definitely would be surprised to see the Darkseer get through. Both teams can actually use him now.
10 seconds.
So Newbee, I think, are just trying their best to like keep it a normal game. That's their goal here.
The other hero that is out there, if Darkseer gets banned, that the teams have to be cautious about is Brood. Because we have not seen that ambush Brood pick yet in the main event. But
not today, but we have seen it
in the group.
And it is a very sorry state for a team if they don't see it coming.
Yeah, that 5th pick Brood was murder.
And Darkseer does get banned. Gotta be careful.
Turns out Newbee have not played Brood recently. Unknown have played Brood twice and lost both games.
Okay.
Very quickly as well. 19 minutes and 28 minutes.
Yeah, that doesn't bode well, does it?
They tried. That's the thing. Like sometimes they go crazy, and it's like it might not work.
It is worth mentioning. Both of these teams come into this match having done very poorly in their recent games. Newbee are 3-7 in their last 10 games, and Unknown are 2-8. So both teams coming on a bit of a loss streak.
One of those is getting a slightly better win rate after this.
Which one was better to you, though? Unknown's performance versus Vici or Newbee's performance versus Virtus Pro?
I would take the Newbie Virtus Pro.
Really?
Yeah, I'd have to agree. I think Unknown looked great in the early game against Vici, but the fact that they made the mistakes that kind of led to how the game went was... That didn't happen at that kind of scale in Newbee's game.
No.
Yeah, team's definitely taking their
thinking
time
about
here.
this. I mean, what do you take away against this aside just as unpredictable? If you see the TA in the white, man, I mean, you surely got to take someone away like the Undying here.
Just look down the list and just stick a pen in it somewhere.
I mean, I'm looking at what Unknown pretty much play.
They're all over
they
the
play
place.
yeah, exactly. They play so many different
What can you
heroes.
ban that's
The Queen.
realistic? Okay, so the Quap's gone.
And Newbee haven't really shown their hand yet. They picked the Gyro, but this is a very strong, safe laner, not that easy to pressure. It's not like they've revealed a Shadow Fiend or something that can be ganked a lot in the early stage. I know do run Bounty Hunter on occasion, but you don't really know what they're doing yet. They'll ban out the AA, though, and they go into the Alchemist.
Wow.
Now, this is a hero they run on occasion.
All right.
Very mixed results with the Alch. And seems like when this patch first came out, teams were loving Alch. They would pick it almost every game, but everyone's been shying away from it lately.
Yeah.
The one team that does still like try to is Vici with that Undying Alchemist Morphling strat, but it's kind of a niche thing.
It's a 50% win rate so far from 6 picks here at the major.
Okay. I mean, Clockwork picked up, this is it's a solid offlane. They've done this before, Unknown. It's one of the more common picks with the lineup. They do like to run the Clockwork. And the fact that Newbee have got this Undying, I mean, this, for a bit of time, this has been like the classic opening for a lot of teams. You get these 3 heroes. There was a period where they were a little bit stronger, but still, it's a very scary opening trio.
And they're running an Alkin at this point. Unless it's a support, it's like a safe lane out.
They're pretty much all single target. I wouldn't mind the Dazzle pickup here from Newbee, but at the same time, the Clockwork pick it's a solid offlaner, but there's not really that much synergy in between the other 3 heroes. Like, you want like an AA blast to throw out there. What can you really follow up with? TA has to get inside the cogs in order to do the damage. Maybe it might be like a more space creator sort of thing than an actual, hey, we're actually looking to fight this head on.
He also doesn't really match up that well against Gyro in the laning stage. If you ever catch him, he's pretty much food.
Yeah.
I mean, the other thing, Ben, is this looks like it could be a carry Alk, potentially. We haven't really seen any support Alk, and you're up against Tusk Undying already.
Mm-hmm.
That's pretty scary.
I'm wondering what Newbee are going to do about the mid lane. They do like to run the Shadow Fiend a lot, but I don't know if they're going to be put off a little bit by the TA. They're going to go with the Ember Spirit, so something to obviously work through the refraction charges, and again, such a strong hero at the moment. There's no saying that Newbee's lineup is just not looking incredibly strong at this point.
That's an insane lineup so far.
They don't have much catch either. Not reliable anyway.
Turn to ban.
You have Witcher's Curse, you have the Alk Stun, if you can somehow jump him, but a good Ember is always going to be able to leap away with the Remnant.
I mean, a lot of minus armor though. If he ever does get caught, or maybe it gets like super late and there's an Abyssal and Alchemist, this Ember can fall quite easily.
So they banned Skywrath. I mean, if you want just a support that can control the Ember, maybe a Disruptor is an option here, but again, I'm still worried if I'm unknown about this Tusk Undying already. So they go Rubik. It is a setup, but it's not the longest duration one.
So where to for Newbee's final pick?
I feel like they can pretty much do whatever they want. They've already got good team fight, good gank, good lanes.
I think they have like far better early games, so maybe you want to commit more to that. Spirit Breaker would be a decent pickup if Rubik weren't their last pick. Other supports that they like, maybe like Ice Stalker's already banned out.
What about the Lion? Okay, Shaman. Okay, they go for the lockdown in a different way. Okay.
Okay, thank you to the 3 of you. We're going to head over to our commentary team for our second but last game of the evening. Newbee versus Unknown.
Thank you, Paul. That's right. I'm Capitalist, joined by Blitz. We've got one hell of a match on our hands. Newbee versus Unknown, a clash of regions, 2 teams that don't really face up against each other ever, and also a little bit of age difference as well. Blitz, where's your money on?
I want to say that Newbee is going to win just because they have the experience.
Mm-hmm.
This is the team that won TI4 for the most part. It's kind of intact, but I mean, it's hard not to root for Unknown. They're a little bit clowny. They're sort of NA Dota-y, and they're willing to drop items and stuff. I know why they do it. It's
their
kinda
war
tilt.
cry. Yes.
Yeah, it's like their war cry. Okay. No, they definitely do that to tilt. That's the point of it. But in a best of 1, I don't even know if you have time to get away with it.
Yeah, I'm looking at this Newbee lineup, and I feel like it's very safe. You know, as LD was saying, you've got pretty strong lanes, you've got plenty of team fight, you've got potentially the superior late game, just depending on how this Alchemist and TA go. I feel like Newbee are just going, okay, this is the best of 1, we should be able to win this, we're the more experienced team, everyone's going to be looking at us to move on. Let's just go ahead and make the safest draft we could possibly can.
Yeah, when you think you're the team that's favored, you're always going to play that way, right? You're not going to go do anything crazy or show off anything. You're just going to make sure that you have the most safe, standard, balanced draft possible. And on the flip side, Unknown, I think they realize what kind of underdogs they are. They're playing against former TI4 champions. They decided to go for the TA first pick. How often do you see that? But it's Katara Hayama. This is his best possible hero that he could play. Why not just go for it immediately before either Newbee snatch it or they ban it out?
Now, what do you think about the Alchemist? Paul was mentioning 3-3 so far in the tournament, a handbag of results. Do you actually feel like the Alchemist is still a strong meta hero?
I think it is, but it's not as strong as people initially thought. I think it got slightly overrated, but hold that thought is they're actually going to get control of the bounty rune.
Unknown's going to be able to pick up that bounty rune, plus they might even be able to get first blood. Banana turns around, gets that 3 decay spam, and he will be okay because of that one. But still, the important thing, the bounty rune for Attune the Alchemist.
Yeah, and he's got enough money for the bottle if he wants to just give it to his mid laner, which is something that we see pretty often, but if he thinks that Kotaro Hayama's okay without it, just because the Ember Spirit wasn't able to get one of his own, then it should be alright. Although the Ember actually did go all the way bottom and grab it. He had enough time.
Tusk went ahead and lift that one for him, so even matchup for now. But this is a matchup that we've seen time and time again. The Ember Spirit versus Templar Assassin, a little bit finicky. But we have these added supports. Rubik, Z-Talk's just going to be sitting in this lane, apparently, just to help out Kotaro and make sure he does all right as the Templar Assassin. It is a lane that can very easily go one way or the other, right?
If I remember correctly, I think the TA wins, and pretty handily. I can't remember what matchup I saw it in. It was either an EG or Secret game, but whoever decided to play the TA absolutely stomped. So I sort of expect the Templar Assassin to do well as long as you trade the side blades efficiently, and it does look like that's the case so far because the Ember Spirit doesn't want to get in the face of the TA, right? He's only got 2 armor, not a lot of HP, and the level 1 Flame Guard, the TA is just going to right-click you out of the lane anyways.
Yeah, the best way for the Ember Spirit to possibly win that lane is around the level 4, level 5 area, somehow getting the kill on the Templar Assassin, but if TA plays it correctly, should be able to stay out of that danger zone and just maintain a CS advantage and better harassment as well. So you can see Mu already being forced to burn through a little bit of his reach. And meanwhile, we've got this bottom lane with the Undying Tusk battling it out against the Alchemist and the defensive tri-lane around him now that the Rubik has relocated from that middle lane to bottom.
This is going to be incredibly hard for Unknown to punish this off lane. You've got 2 heroes that are strength heroes that one has a decay and one has a tombstone, and the counter initiation ability for both these heroes is so strong that you don't necessarily want to go, but Mu's actually getting really low in mid, and you might actually just go down for first blood.
Kotaro's going to be able to pick that one up. Beautiful setup there as the Rubik comes in at the right time, able to get that critical telekinesis, and Mu perhaps underestimating the rotating supports.
And even before that moment, Kotaro got him pretty low, and Mu just has to be a little bit more careful because this is the player, out of all the players on Unknown, I feel like they feed off this guy's energy, and you just don't want him to be able to get snowballing in. But this bottom lane, it's pretty successful so far. Nobody's really died. Tule's being able to get some XP for free, and this is kind of what we expected out of this.
Meanwhile, the top lane, poor Clockwork, has been pretty heavily shut out. You've got a heavy disable hero combined with the Gyrocopter, whose damage is pretty insane. So Greedy has actually been doing something smart. If you look over at the Ancients, he's been stacking that up for Kotaro to feed off of. So as you were saying, a lot of Unknown is based off the back of Kotaro and how well he does in lane and successfully carries his team. And it seems like they're putting a lot of emphasis with that, with the Rubik sitting there, babysitting him early on, and then the stacks for Kotaro to stay ahead of Mu as much as possible.
Yeah, and we focused so much on Team Unknown so far, but the main reason is because they are the underdog. Make no mistake about it, because when I feel like the mid-game hits, Team Newbee are just going to hit you like a Mack truck. They've got the Gyrocopter, one of the best rotating heroes in the game, and he's playing on the dire side in mid. Mu, can he get the chains off? One more right click should do it.
Oh, one more the Rubik. Oh, the health potion barely managed to keep him alive.
He's got boots. He's going to go for this.
Yeah, Kotaro's just going to be able to run him down. Mu, nothing he can do to stop this one. Chains isn't up for another 2 seconds. Kotaro trying to get in range, and there it is. Secures a second kill onto Mu's Ember Spirit. Unknown already off to an amazing start against Newbee.
Yeah, but once again, once the Gyro decides to rotate, that's where I want to really focus the attention on the mid game for, because if Team Unknown can kind of weather that, then they can play off things like the Roshan advantage because they have a hero like Templar Assassin, and that's where I really look to see who's going to take control of the mid game.
Could this be yet another kill in the middle lane? Z-Talk just picked himself up an Invis rune. There was a ward, of course, so Newbee, as long as Mu has the communication there and stays back, he's actually going to go for Kotaro because he does have a wave here, quickly burning through the refraction. They're going to turn and fight against him now, but Shadow Shaman is coming in. Right, Mu still die. Oh, the Ether Shock takes out the Templar Assassin just in time. Will get a little damage onto Z-Talk in the meantime, but both of the cores in the middle lane end up going down, and the supports who survive.
Still, that just lets Mu back even further.
But they're going to be able to pick up the Alchemist as well. No, actually just barely managed to survive after a very early armlet.
All right, that was unexpected, but I can see why he thinks it's effective. He just wants to be the frontline tank while Katara is the heavy damage dealer. And with how the laning phase is gone, I think this is the correct idea. But it's been a while since we've seen the armlet Alchemist for sure.
Yeah, it certainly saved him at that critical point, that's for sure. And now the Winter Wyvern's going to be able to heal him up. And the support's actually rotating into the middle lane has opened up a lot more room for Greedy to actually get experience in this top lane against Hao's Gyrocopter. Of course, he still has to play pretty careful as the Gyrocopter about to hit his level 6 and does have phase boots as well.
This is around the time, once the Gyrocopter hits 6, that you have to be really careful if you're Team Unknown. Because this hero just flat out is able to team fight so early on like no other hero can. Rocket Barrage plus Call Down, two of the strongest abilities, like even after the nerfs in the... You've got to be so careful.
So far, it's only 5.5 minutes in, but Unknown have racked themselves up a decent gold and experience advantage off of the 2 different kills in the middle lane for sure. First Blood helping out, and we haven't even seen that Ancient stack being popped for the Templar Assassin just yet. Meanwhile, I'm not really seeing any sort of stacks on the Radiant side of things. Definitely not the Ancients, and seems like not the jungle as well. So it seems like they're really going to have to play off of some early 15-minute aggression if they want to be able to stem the flow.
You mean the dire side?
Yes.
Yeah, because I think the one thing is, when you have your mid hero get dominated so hard, you always have to rotate a hero just to be there. And also, they want to be able to move the Undying a little bit more freely, but they're a little bit pigeonholed because of the rough start the Ember Spirits had, and they're going to make the move on Z-Talk mid, but Z-Talk should read the situation and just kind of get out. And it actually looks like Newbee, they're going to go for the Ancient stack here, but they don't really have the heroes to do it. And I think they're just hoping to go around, maybe on Greedy at top and take the tier 1.
Yeah, catch someone. I mean, they were showing Z-Talk in the middle lane, so maybe they thought it was time for Kataro to clear through that, because he did go for the 2 levels of Side Blades rather than a level of Meld at all, so it's possible for him already to go for those Ancients, but no such luck there. They will, well, maybe not. Greedy is going to go into the side shop here. Newbee are going to start coming forward, and Greedy, see how he's able to react a little bit slow, will be hexed up immediately, controlled, and Newbee will definitely get this early kill.
Yeah, absolutely no way for him to survive. He has no ward vision down there, and with this ward that they place down here on that tier 1, they're always going to be able to spot the rotations in, and that makes it such a free kill for them.
So Newbee will be able to take the early tier 1 on top of that. So this is Smoke not quite successful in stopping or perhaps catching someone clearing through this Ancient stack, but does get the vision up necessary to perhaps contest it later on. It does get the kill plus the tier 1 tower.
When I look at this build, actually, it just looks like it's a fighting build for the Alchemist. Because if you look at the armlet, it does everything for you. It gives you that strength gain. That's really important, especially when this Chemical Ray just pops. It gives you a little bit of armor, a little bit of HP regen. The attack speed is also really useful. And
looks like he's going back for the, is this a Midas now?
It could just be the Maelstrom.
Yeah. Good farming item. Gives you some early damage with all the attack speed you were talking about.
I don't know if you go from the armlet to suddenly going for the Midas.
Yeah.
That feels a little bit backwards for me. But by going for the Maelstrom, I mean, his attack speed is definitely going to be incredibly high.
Newbee, they're setting up right now. This is critical. They need to be able to catch Kataro while he's doing this Ancient stack, but
they've got to rotate more heroes for this.
It doesn't look like it's going to work out with Greedy, as well as Z-Talk, making sure the Templar Assassin will be okay. But look at Newbee on the other side in the middle lane. They do have the Tusk as well as the Ember Spirit showing up. The Ancient stack is a little bit low. Hao may not have enough damage to clear through all of it, but they'll take a couple of those dragons. Unfortunately, what they're really missing is perhaps Chisbug's level 6. Mass Serpent Wards wouldn't be a bad
Greedy's
play
actually
here.
going to spot these 2 heroes over here, but he might just go down.
Yeah, he's going to be running immediately into the disables of the Shadow Shaman, and the damage from the Gyrocopter just too much for him to handle. Meanwhile, the smoke up from Unknown is clearly not going to play out in their favor.
They really need this clockwork to be able to make this rotation worth it. And they even smoked for it. He was trying to make the rotation around, but Newbee, they saw it coming the entire way through. You notice that it wasn't random that they just have 2 heroes hiding up there. They're just covering all their exits.
So Newbee are actually able to take 4 of the biggest of the Ancients.
Oh no, they're going to get all of them.
As well as the Golems. So Templar Assassin not really getting what they expected. That being said, it is clearing a lot of room for the Alchemist, but they're going to dive in deep here for Excel. They will be able to catch him quite easily. It looks like well, the physical damage is helping out, but eventually they will get Excel. Just takes a little while. The Tombstone laid out. Z-Talk is going to be a little bit caught here as well. Greedy's going to try and come in, push him back. Z-Talk actually into the trees, but Tusk's going to fall right in there. Lee will be able to pick up that kill as well. Newbee, keep on going forward, pressuring that middle lane, and it looks like taking control of the tier 1 tower in the process. Newbee starting this 5-man lineup very early on.
And this is what we were talking about, right? Is even if you shut down Moo,
this is what the rest of his team can put out. The team fight potential of a hero like Gyrocopter, paired with supports like the Undying and the Shadow Shaman, it's almost impossible to run there once the wards have been dropped, once the tombstone's been dropped. And this is going to require Greedy to actually play a little bit more clean, because I feel like if he doesn't get caught in those two positions, then maybe they can set up for a fight mid before they can just drop all those abilities.
Well, it's standard for an Alchemist, but 10 minutes in, he does hold a significant net worth lead, and now has the completed Maelstrom, so he's kind of online when it comes to fighting now between the Armlet and the Maelstrom. He's got both the tank and damage ready to go. And also will be a bit of a factor when it comes to split pushing as well with that Maelstrom.
Something I would like to see from him, though, Cap, is if he decides to go for the BKB immediately after. Because if you look at Newbee's lineup, they don't actually have too much that can stop him once he has that Chemical Rage with the BKB online. And if he just allows Kotaro to be his true one position with the Desolator, then I think this could actually work out. But you do need him to start participating in fights soon, and at bottom...
Unstable Concoction going out.
How much damage can he do?
Underneath that Acid Spray, tries to get off the heal, will be able to mitigate some of that, and does just barely get out with 60 HP. Will West and Newbee come forward. Attune doesn't mind challenging Hal, though, that's for sure, especially underneath the Acid Spray. Another Unstable Concoction with Winter's Curse controls Chisbug, but not before the Hex. It looks like both of those heroes will be able to get out. Chisbug very low. Another Splinter Blast might have been able to catch him. Greedy, unfortunately, not finding the opening for the hook shot.
That was a lot of abilities they used too at this bottom lane. And they're going to open up some space for Kotaro to hit this mid tower, but the rotation should be in time. Lu's going to make the jump forward, but way too far away. And without Tule there, not going to be able to catch him.
Unknown putting some pressure on that bottom lane while the rotation came out from Newbee to mid. So they are, it feels like, outmaneuvering Newbee to a certain extent. Tusk now coming in. Are they actually going to go for this one? It looks like mass rotations from Newbee are going to try and catch the Alchemist, but he's got both Armlet and Chemical Rage. There goes the ultimate for the Gyrocopter, slowing him down even further. Move, catch him with the chain.
Oh,
and they will just barely be able to get that kill. Greedy comes in, but that's not the right time. Your Alchemist is already dead, and so are you. Unknown, lose 2, and Newbee will take control of yet another tower.
I'm not sure if he thought he was going to survive for a little bit more, and that has to be it because he had the Armlet available and didn't use it the entire time. I don't think he would have survived, so in the long run it probably doesn't matter, but you can't make those little micro mistakes. And Kotaro, he's just going to farm, and it does feel like Unknown are playing a little bit separated, and this is their style coming in when they played in the NA region where they were able to get away with this, where if you shut down Attune, well then Kotaro's going to get a lot of farm, but when you're playing against a team like Newbee, they're just going to apply pressure all around the map so quickly, and they're so systematic with how they push down your tier 1 towers.
Yeah. They're playing a great objective-based game right now. 13 minutes in, we've already taken all the tier 1 towers, and it seems like they're potentially even looking for more. And they do have a decent Roche-taking lineup of their own as well, with the Mass Serpent Wards being the primary source of damage.
Yeah, the Sigil is actually really underrated too.
True.
Although he doesn't have a single level of it, he's opting to go for more of the Snowball, and he's nearly got the mech completed too on him. And this is really going to ramp up their aggression next. That's going to be the next item that Newbee wait for, but it doesn't even look like they want to wait for very long, as they're going to make their jump.
Yeah, they're going to be able to catch Kotaro once again in the middle of farming. He does manage to complete the Desolator, and it's sitting in the shop waiting for him when he revives, but still Unknown losing yet another hero, and Newbee controlling this game quite nicely, not letting any of the cores of Unknown get too much free farm.
It almost feels like they're willing to trade one hero as long as another hero on their team's farming. But when you're playing against like a team like Newbee, what they're going to do is they're going to take your ancient stacks once that happens. They're going to be able to take your tier 1 towers and just constantly pressure. And they'll take turns killing your core heroes. And it feels like Unknown are actually sort of okay with this. Like they lose their Alchemist at bottom, but their TA is farming. They lose their TA at the Ancients, but their Alchemist is farming. It kind of just feels like next man up for me.
Do you think that they should continue along that line, spreading themselves out so they ensure always one core gets the farm, or is it time for them to perhaps group up and fight Newbee?
I don't think that you have to immediately group up and fight, but you've got to do something, and it's going to go for the smoke. They might even make the rotation into Roshan.
Oh, this is going to be perfect timing too. Potentially Newbee.
Oh, they're just waiting. They know it's going to come.
But yeah, as soon as they see the trap there of the Templar Assassin, they know it's not time to actually go for that smoke into Roshan. And Unknown will not be able to find their opening just yet.
Yeah, they might have actually spotted Chisbug with the tail end of that rocket, and Kotaro Hiyama is going to be the first one in, but he's got to know that this is a trap.
Yeah, and both teams have really good abilities to get vision inside the Roshan pit. You've got the Ember Spirit Remnant as well as the Templar Assassin trap, so neither team is going to be able to sneak a Roshan here. In the meantime, though, Newbee, well, they've got a nice little creep wave push at the top lane as well as mid, so Unknown are going to be forced to address some of those intrusions.
Yeah, you got to really appreciate, too, what Newbee just did there. They weren't actually going for the Roshan on their own, but they noticed that the Templar Assassin had the Desolator, and so they know that Unknown are going to entirely play around that Aegis timing. And this is how Unknown is going to be able to teamfight them, despite not really having a massive ability other than Winner's Curse when it comes to teamfight. So you wait in the Roche pit, wait for the rotations to come in, and then you just hopefully get the better positioning because you're so spread out.
So, Alchemist, you were talking about the BKB. Would you rather see that than the completed SNY, which he's going for?
I think it's okay. He just wants to go for the mass stats.
Yeah.
I think at some point, though, it's a little bit greedy not to go for it when there is a lot of disable. The chains, the gyrocopter damage is almost entirely magic damage at this phase. You've got to wonder at some point, it's got to be at the back of his head.
Right. So if he gets a BKB next item, he's pretty heavily committed himself to the mid game, but they could actually contest Newbee when they start going for more of these objectives. I don't think it's a bad idea.
No, I don't think so either. But they're going to go for the Roshan of their own. Rocket's going to scout this out. They've got vision of this, but it doesn't look like they're 100% ready for this fight yet.
But they need to be able to take, if Unknown don't contest, they should try and get an objective. Unfortunately, they don't quite get the hold there on the Ember Spirit. Maybe they'll be able to take that tier 1 mid.
Hey, this is taking a really long time. Maybe you throw another rocket, see that it's quite healthy, and maybe even take the fight after the fact.
Yeah, Z-Talk's gonna lead in with a steal there onto Shackles. Roshan about to fall 1200 HP, but Unknown are gonna go for the kills first. Nice tough snowball save, but Greedy is gonna make the initiation onto Banana, finish him off. Roshan will go down to Hal, but at what a cost, Newbee! They're gonna be losing this fight big time, and now Hal, he's left all alone against Unknown.
The Wards are about to fall too.
And they're gonna go on to Hal, easily take him out the first time, and I can't see Hal's gonna be able to get away a second time. Unbelievable. Unknown are going to be able to catch him. Kotaro still fighting this out. He's able to get a refraction. Where's the rest of the team? They're dealing with the Tombstone so badly. Fortunately, the Tombstone will run out, and Unknown don't lose a single hero here against Newbee.
The thing is, Newbee's idea was okay, but it took them so long to go for the Roshan, and you know that Unknown is going to take that fight. A lot of people might erroneously believe, okay, they've got the advantage because they have the Aegis, but the positioning in the fight and how low they already were, no way that you're going to win that fight if you're Newbee. Plus, you're grouped up into that Roche pit. All you have to do is fight away from the wards. That's exactly what they did. Great play by them overall, and the biggest thing that happened there was they were so split up because half the team was still going for the Roshan, the other half was trying to buy time for that. And with that being said, Unknown take a fairly dominant lead now.
8-8, and all of a sudden, those graphs are looking pretty favorable for Unknown. Of course, they still have the Alchemist advantage, so they're naturally going to be up in net worth, but the fact that things are even slightly in their favor is a good sign, as Unknown are just going to be able to continue to outfarm Newbee, especially with this Templar Assassin, the Desolator. Not just a factor in being able to push down these towers or take Roshan, but also efficiently farming through stacks.
Yeah, and it looks like she's going to go for the BKB next, understanding that there is a lot of crowd control on Team Newbee, but if you can slow it down, go for the BKBs. I think the Alchemist should get one for his own at this point, unless he just wants to get even greedier and go for something like the Assault Cuirass. If you noticed in that last fight, with the Armlet popped and his Chemical Rage, he didn't take that much damage.
After a bad fight like that for Newbee, at what point do you start looking at your Ember Spirit and trying to rotate him into more of a farming position and finishing up that Battle Fury? Because he did commit for the early game aggression of Treads and Drums.
I don't really know if you can at this point, because you only have 1,000 gold right now. You're 0-4, not a lot of CS to go on Moo. And if you continue this pace of trying to catch up, Team Unknown, they're just going to farm a lot faster than you. Because Kataro's got a Deso, the Alchemist is an Alchemist, and you're just going to steadily get out-farmed, because you don't have any farming items.
So Newbee spreading themselves out a bit, clearing through the jungle. They will have a BKB fairly soon, in fact, how they'll finish it up right now. So maybe that's what they're waiting on in order to continue their aggression.
No, that's definitely the major item, because if you look at the rest of their lineup, there's nothing that anybody's really waiting for. If you wait for Moo to get his Battle Fury, I think the timing is a little bit too late.
Right.
So you have to get aggressive before that point, and the BKB is going to be the biggest jump up for the Gyrocopter.
Greedy. He's actually about to finish up a Blade Mail. Unfortunately, it won't be in time before the BKB of Hao, but it'll still be a great item to threaten many of these newbie heroes.
Yeah. So BKB is going to be the next item for Tune. I think that this was the correct choice, especially if you know that Newbee is just going to run at you head first. You want to make sure that you have the ability to fight. Kataro's going to go for 1-2, and this is a pretty disciplined Team Unknown so far that we've seen.
And I love the fact that Z-Talk already has a Blink Dagger, so potentially big plays from him incoming, but Newbee, they know the importance of initiation right now. They're going to go for
They might have the angle if Atun doesn't
right
get his ult.
into an Alchemist, but he doesn't have his BKB just yet. He will be controlled quite easily. Doesn't even have the arm laid out, but a great Winter's Curse is going to stall things up. Now the greedy initiation is going to be able to combo off with it. Alchemist barely staying alive until the last punch comes out from Zhao to lead. Now Kataro, he's the next target in line as the refraction just gets burned away. And Everspirit, he says, screw this, I'm going to go for more. He's going to take Z-Talk as well. Excel will be able to just barely TP out, but the rest of the team just crumbles underneath the Newbee smoke.
Amazing initiation by Team Newbee. They understand that Team Unknown aren't prepared for that, and if they take that fight at that choke point, there's no way that they can filter in. Perfect timing by them, and that's how you have to play. You fight around these item timings. You understand with that BKB, this is around the point that you want to fight with Hao, and Mu is still pretty effective without items right now. Even if he doesn't have the Battle Fury, the fact that he is level 11, he's got most of the levels that he needs to max out on his 2 abilities, and that's going to be enough for them to take the fight.
And that means tier 2 as well. Smoke into kill, into objective, and repeat as necessary. Newbee. Potential winning recipe here, but we'll see. It's still a tough net worth advantage. And I'm looking at these alchemists at 15,000 gold compared to the Gyrocopter's 10k.
Yeah, Newbee's team, when it comes to farm, it's a lot more spread out. You're seeing the Shadow Shaman have a lot of impact with that Force Staff, and the Undying even has a medallion of his own, so he's no slouch.
Ember Spirit, he might just be bursted down.
Okay.
It's just too much for him to handle. He gets initiated on by that Rubik Blink Dagger. They followed up with the Unstable Concoction with all the minus armor, and the right clicks, they just do so much damage in such a short period of time.
And they want to start making their own aggressive maneuvers forward. They're going to go for this mid tower, and this is the first real aggressive maneuver that we've seen since that Roche fight. And without Mu alive, I don't know if they can take this. And I think in a headlong engagement, for now, Team Unknown do have the advantage with that BKB, and they're actually going to smoke around.
4-man smoke of their own for Unknown. Seeing if they can't get the initiation advantage.
They've got to be so careful. They still don't have Ember, and the positioning game might not be enough for them.
Dude, he's just going to run right in there with the Unstable Concoction. He gets it on 2. Now the Telekinesis follow-up. That's going to be instant 2 kills. Now the Winter's Curse on his Outtilly. He's also going to fall, and Newbee instantly losing control. The tier 1 and potentially even tier 2 are immediately going to fall.
They're definitely going to go for more than this. They've got the Deso completed. This call down is just going to be for Not, and Greedy's looking for the initiation. How? He's got to be careful. He's moving real close.
Playing so far forward here, but Greedy is not going to be able to hit the hook shot. And Unknown will just content themselves with the tier 2 tower. A big jump up for this team. Huge underdogs here against Newbee.
And they're definitely not playing like it.
Absolutely not. Now the BKB completed for the Templar Assassin, and team fights should be going the way of Unknown now. With those 2 different BKBs, all the damage on the Alchemist, and the rest of their supports, their offlane clockwork, they've got all of the core items that they need for the next 10 to 15 minutes.
Yeah, but Newbee have demonstrated that they still can't keep up with them when they get the initiation off first. If they're able to get the Tombstone off, if they're able to get the Mass Serpent wards off, it's still a tough fight for Team Unknown. And if you're Team Unknown, you just have to play calmly. You have to make sure that you don't overextend. Because in that last fight, with that 2-man stun, there was almost no way that Newbee was going to win a fight. But you've got to be a little bit weary of the ability for them to drop the wards, to drop the Tombstone.
Another 5-man smoke.
Oh, they know
spotted
Banana's
out
there.
the Tusk, but the smoke falters as Banana is sitting here in the trees. Newbee perhaps dodging a bullet here, but we'll see. They're pretty well spread out. In fact, Hao's sitting in this interesting position in the top left. Hoping to be able to come in from the north. If Unknown, try and push down that tier 1 tower.
With 2 BKBs completed on Team Unknown, they really want to be able to get in there and start a fight, but you've got to be careful because, again, the Mass Serpent wards plus Tombstone this early on in the game could just completely catch you off guard.
Roshan may be the next objective for Unknown. Is that timer? Potential spawn time coming up here in a second.
The Battle Fury is now almost complete for Mu.
And this is an item they desperately need because he just has to farm a lot more too. This is going to be able to help him split push a little bit more, be active on the map, and just be more of a presence in these fights. Because oftentimes what's happening right now is he's throwing out the Sleight of Fist, but it simply just doesn't do enough damage. So they can completely ignore him, make sure that they center the focus on the supports, get rid of the crowd control, and then from there, take down hero after hero.
What about How? He's got 3,400 golds. Is there any other item you would like to see besides a butterfly?
I think the butterfly is the better choice right now. Team Unknown, they don't have the Radiance, they don't have a butterfly of their own quite yet. I don't even think they've got the medallion, right?
Oh, Moo. Oh, he uses the bash! Holy cow, a DD, a Ton Alchemist, just comes in and rips Moo a new one.
Okay, that was surprising. The fact that he was able to get the angle off and more importantly the bash, Moo probably thought to himself, okay, I'll be able to just spear it away, no problem. Deal with this in a second, and he definitely did not think he was going to go down that quickly. And this is just going to slow down his battle fury even more.
You see the beginning of the butterfly now for the gyrocopter. Roshan is up right now. And Newbee may just pop into the pit. Check that one out soon. Surprised Unknown aren't throwing rockets into that pit because they do have such a great team for taking it quickly. But right now they're going for the tier 2 tower in the top lane, and doesn't look like Newbee are going to contest them.
I think with the Ember Spirit down and with the position that Newbee are in, they're a little bit hesitant to drop the wards in the Roche pit because they learned from the first time how long it took them. Because Gyrocopter and Ember are pretty awful at going for Roshan, right?
Right.
A lot of their damage is just in their abilities, but you can't really use any of them for the Roche pit. So going for the split push game is a lot more healthy for them.
Doesn't look like they're even going to be able to get the trade-off. Oh, Greedy makes the initiation there, but unfortunately the creep wave intercepts it, but still, he forced out a BKB reaction from How nonetheless.
So slowly moving forward, wanted to be able to get the bash if possible, but after they force this top lane out, they might just want to go for the Roshan themselves. They know that Newbee are responding to the top push. They see the Ember Spirit for miles, and they might just go for this if they're fast.
Yeah, without the Boots of Travel build on the Ember Spirit, they probably feel really confident at being able to take it before...
Newbee have to be here right now if
they're
going to contest this.
And at this point, if Unknown get the Aegis, you're looking at the rest of the last tier 2 tower in the bottom lane probably falling, and Unknown could easily breach high ground.
Kataro's actually blocked out though. It's a little bit of a scary moment, but still more map control for them, and I don't think Newbee, they can take that fight. If they were so late to it, even if they drop the wards in the tombstone in that position, they just don't have enough farm right now.
All right, time to push out that bottom lane, claim a tier 2 tower, and get even larger of a net worth lead. They're already 10k up over Newbee.
And even if it's an alchemist, this is still a pretty significant lead, just because of how much the Templar Assassin is ahead of their Ember Spirit. Like, this guy has 4,000 gold on top of 2 core items.
Unknown, are they going to go for more here? Looks like it. They've got that Aegis advantage, and the Alchemist, he just seems unkillable by himself. Newbee, they're going to have to poke and prod a long time here before they actually find a decent opening. They now have the Battle Fury on the Ember Spirit, but it just seems like a pitiful source of damage. Not sure if it's ever going to be enough. Chizbug hoping to be able to catch Kataro on the high ground, but doesn't quite get him.
Team Unknown, they've definitely got the advantage. And all they have to do right now is be patient. You don't want to overextend. This is the one thing that could really lose you your momentum right now. And Team Newbee, this is a really veteran lineup. Even when their backs are against the wall.
Oh, Z-Talk gonna jump in, he grabs Moo, this is a big one, they get the Winter's Curse, and Moo immediately gonna be targeted by Kotaro. They bounce it back with the cogs as well, get the control, and the snowball is not in time to save. They immediately take out the Tombstone next up, and How? Well, he's gotten a couple of kills, he'll be able to run down Kotaro as well. There goes that Aegis. They got the big initiation onto the Ember Spirit, but it wasn't enough as How cleaned house, and now we'll be able to catch Kotaro as well. That's a completed butterfly now for How, and another 1,800 gold after such a great fight.
And this is what we were talking about, right? Is Newbee is such a veteran team, they understand. Just continue to bait them further into the base. Make sure that they go for the Ember. Make this look like a free kill. Drop everything on them at once. Even if they have the Aegis advantage, there's no way they're going to be able to get out. The Alchemist doesn't do quite enough yet for them to be so worried when he's in the middle of the fight. And most of Atun's focus in that fight was just to get rid of the wards, to get rid of the Tombstone. So by the time he was actually in fighting shape, he looks around, his entire team's dead, and he's just got to get the hell out.
There is a big upgrade, though. Unknown now have the MKB on the Templar Assassin, so the next time Unknown want to make that kind of initiation, they can go for the Gyrocopter instead and just burst him down with help of the TA's True Strike.
Yeah, and I'm starting to kind of understand Attun's build. You notice that he's got so much attack speed and so much tankiness. I think the point is just immediately get rid of the Tombstone, drop it incredibly fast, then you can go for the wards.
I find it
still
interesting
have enough time
that he actually completes the Mjolnir. So I was looking at either that Maelstrom or the SNY to be replaced by an AC after the Abyssal Blade, but he decides that the Mjolnir upgraded is going to be enough. Why do you think that is?
I think it's just a good item that's incredibly cheap to be able to get. If your chemical rage is down, your attack speed is still incredibly fast. The ability to Mjolnir anybody on your team, for example, the Clockwork, that could really pay dividends for you.
And there is something to be said when you're making yourself a target going uphill like that with the active of Static Charge. Even if certain heroes like the Gyrocopter are going to be okay with their BKB, many of the supports are going to be feeling the wrath of that lightning.
Yeah, and finally the the Battle Fury is completed onto Mu. And this is going to help him farm a lot faster and make him just more useful in the team fights. But I almost feel like he's done enough in these fights so far. He's baiting himself forward at all times, making sure that his team has the best possible drop onto Team Unknown. But at some point, you have to be able to survive in one of the fights to reap the benefits of that.
My biggest concern is that if Unknown choose to target the Gyrocopter and manage to successfully burst him down, that this Battle Fury isn't going to be enough.
I just think they took that fight really awkwardly. Like, maybe if they were able to kill the Winter Wyvern immediately, the fight goes okay, but the focus was a little bit too shifted, and the Ember Spirit, for some reason, they weren't able to right-click him all at once. And so a lot of the Winter's Curse timing was just wasted. And I think Unknown know that, and they're going to say to themselves, okay, we misplayed that fight completely. Maybe we went a little bit too over-aggressive because we had the Aegis. This time around, just take down the tower, spread out, make sure we're fanning out, and then take the fight smart.
Cheeky little play there from Greedy. Goes for the aggressive Force Staff onto How to see if he can't get him out of position enough to claim a quick kill. But if this game draws out a little bit further, How will be able to complete an MKB, though right now, I'm sure he's thinking about just holding on to buyback.
Yeah, he's actually incredibly farmed still. He's still ahead of the Templar Assassin, and you've got to be careful.
Have great initiation. Do you think like something like a Blink Dagger would be good for the Winter Wyvern, or is that unnecessary with the Blink Dagger already up on Rubik?
I sort of think it's unnecessary. Maybe the Force Staff, just to kind of reposition, would be better. Because once those BKBs fade, that's going to be pretty killer for them.
Right, especially against certain heroes like the Undying and Tusk, who are obviously going to be quite good at kiting around heroes like Alchemist. Force Staff could come in serious handy.
If you notice Newbee's lineup, a lot of what their item focus seems to be is just shifted onto making sure that their two cores stay alive, and so that they can kite as long as possible to provide support. And I really like this, because I think they realize the position that they're in, that Unknown will eventually run out of steam, and that Mu can just continue to scale, because the Alchemist is almost 6-slotted right now.
Right.
And you were able to win that fight despite that fact. So just continue the fight, make sure you can kite as much as you possibly can, give the Ember Spirit enough time to get multiple heroes Sleight of Fist off, and maybe you can still continue to win the fight. But possibly the biggest purchase that Attun is going to make just arrived.
The completed Abyssal Blade. So if he gets his hands on one of these cores of Newbee, they may not be able to get anything off in the process, just being Abyssaled and chain bashed down. But the big question for me is whether or not he's actually able to get there in the first place. He doesn't have a whole high amount of mobility. We've already talked about some of the kiting mechanisms that Newbee have in their hands, both from supports and carries. It's going to need a really good setup from these supports. Both Z-Talk and Excel have to be able to find the right initiation to clear enough space for Alchemist to enter into that battlefield.
Alright, so Mu, 2,500 gold. He does have the buyback. And Unknown, they have a lot of map control. And this feels kind of like a desperation smoke to me. One where they just desperately want to be able to open up the map, but
desperate or not, it might be able to pay off. How? He's going to be able to just barely get off that. He gets hit by the Abyssal Blade. Oh, Jesus. Attun, do not underestimate that damage. He gets his hand on Moon, rips him apart.
Did you see what happened there? The Alchemist launches the stun at the Gyrocopter who's BKB'd.
and the gyro's like, okay, I'm gonna dodge this, but Mu just happened to be right in the radius of it, gets caught off by it, and immediately missile bladed, and they're just gonna jump in.
Greedy goes in immediately onto How. He knows that How doesn't have a BKB. Kurtaro tries to put out some damage, but it's not enough, and How, he just keeps going forward with the buyback now on Moon. They'll chase out Kurtaro. He goes for the kill on Moon, and desperately trying to get something out of this bad situation for Unknown, but it's not looking good. Newbee take 3 and force back Unknown off the back of buyback on that Ember Spirit.
It's just so hard to kill anybody from Newbee right now. They've got Ghost Scepters, they've got mechs, they've got Blink Daggers, Force Staffs. You've got How that just continues to play the positioning game and baiting them further and further. You're right, the BKB was down, and that kind of emboldens Unknown and says, okay, there's no way they can take that fight, but Unknown, they don't have the Winner's Curse off. They don't have BKBs of their own. They've got to be more careful than this, and there's only so many times you can waste opportunities like that.
MKB now complete for How, feeling quite secure now that he's got an extra 2,400 golds. Roshan is going to be coming up in a minute. You know Newbee. They are definitely going to be looking at that one. If they get secure Aegis and Cheese, they'll take control of this game.
How has a lot of farm right now. Despite the fact that Mu had a rough game in the early, it just seems like How has been their rock. He's got the MKB, he's got the Butterfly. Almost all of his items are geared towards the late game. There's no SNY on this guy. There was the drums just to kind of give them tempo, but other than that, he's building perfectly. Even going to build into the Helmet Dominator next for the Satanic, and this is the scary part for Team Unknown now. Whether or not you can really get to How, because the amount of Force Staffs, the amount of medallions that they've got, is this guy actually killable?
18-18, it's 36 minutes in, and 12,000 gold lead for Unknown, but it has begun to falter. Especially as you mentioned, the Alchemist being completely 6th allotted, so if he wants to be able to exchange some of these items, we're going to have some mitigating returns. Roshan's now up, and this is definitely going to be the biggest fight. In the Unknown versus Newbee, best of 1.
They're going to go for the smoke on Newbee, and this is such a tense moment because Unknown are still slightly ahead, but if they lose this Roche fight, they're just going to completely give map control back to Newbee. And that's something you really can't afford when you're playing against a
they're going to smoke and go actually uphill. Unknown are going to be able to see him. Kataro just pops. BKB tries to go in. Winter's Curse immediately laid on to How. Kataro's getting a good amount of side blade damage, but Shouted will be protected by the Glimmer Cape. But now How, he's been a missile blade up. They will lose that life. And Mu, I don't think he has enough damage to be able to win this one. Gets a little bit of sleight of fist, bounced away from Attune, but now he's got his hands on Banana. Will be able to get him. Oh, nice hex there coming out from Chisbug. And Attune, well, he still has an unstable concoction. Throws it onto Chisbug. Will be able to get both him as well as the Undying. Kotaro easily finishes off that Shadow Shaman. Z-Talk will end up going down to Banana, be able to pick up that kill.
Banana doesn't have a TP, and Kotaro's on the hunt, but he's actually going to walk by the next trap. Doesn't have a Blink Dagger, though, and this is going to feel a little bit shaky as Banana might just make it home free.
Trying to hide himself in the trees. Looks like he'll be okay, Kotaro. Still looking in that jungle, hoping to be able to find him, but I'm sure he's going to be giving up soon. Look at that, even the ward placed outside of this little hiding spot of Banana.
And Kotaro doesn't even bother checking in the side shop. Banana's a little bit too smart for that. Now he's going to make the rotation over. Still a really successful team fight for Team Unknown. They finally grabbed the core gyrocopter, and the MKB is now fully completed on this Alchemist.
So now there goes that Butterfly as well as the Solar Crest. Those are no longer going to protect the gyrocopter. And plus, they'll have Aegis and Cheese. Looks like Unknown will be able to take it. Newbee, no chance in hell to get here in time.
Yeah, they've got Kotaro. He should be able to get the Aegis. No problem with that.
And Cheese will be picked up by the Winter Wyvern, presumably passing that one off a little bit later.
He's going to heal up Kotaro, and I think this is going to be their time. The bottom lane is relatively pushed out. The top lane isn't pushed out enough, and Mu just simply doesn't have enough farm to really threaten them. If he decides to start hitting their tier 3 towers, they won't really care, because they know that they're going to take this even faster. And Mu has to be there preemptively to set up for the fight. He's going to get every little bit of farm that he can eke out, but Unknown, they're going to be on the doorsteps real soon.
Yeah, this is where you really needed that completed data list for the Ember Spirit, but it's not quite there. Fortunately, he will have buyback, and this is what Newbee are going to have to play around quite heavily. Same goes with How. Initiation, already the Blink Dagger. They're going to blow everything they have to be able to kill How. Will they be able to take him a second time? He's probably going to be behind back here. There it goes. Unknown start backing themselves up. Pretty content with the free pickoff, but it looks like Atuni is going to be caught in the process. Nice force stab outside of the wards. They also have the Glimmer Cape, but Moo, he's getting more and more damage out from these sleight of fists. Will bounce ahead of the Cogs. Gets bounced around a little bit. Will start backing himself out as the rest of his team stuck out from the Ice Shards as well as the Cogs. They're trying to get around right now. Newbee chasing away. Atuni actually stunning himself up with the unstable concoction. Excel getting just ahead of that one. Shout to Lee, almost angry Kataro, but they will be able to get the first kill on him, but he gets the Undying as well. Now the caught Excel looking to get that one, but a hook shot. It catches the Undying. They've also got Moo trapped inside as well. He's not going to be able to get out. He takes the unstable concoction, goes down. How? This could be a dieback as well as Kataro. One more hit, he gets it as well. Newbee get wiped, and they have no buybacks. Unknown, they may have just won this game in one clean sweep.
Going from nowhere to being the TI4 champs. Fantastic play from Unknown. What a victory for them. They just look so happy right now.
They said it. Group stage was looking a little rocky for them, but they still felt confident. They go into the matchup against Newbee, which many would expect them to be the underdogs, but boy, Unknown just showed something else there against the Chinese.
Yeah, they didn't even have time to item drop because Newbee, they just looked shell-shocked. They're like, this game's actually done. How doesn't have the buyback anymore? It's over. The TI4 champs, they've lost the Team Unknown.
All business for Unknown as they will be moving on to the next round. Newbee are out of the tournament. And I'm sure the analysts have a lot to say about this best of one.
You're not kidding. Thank you very much, Capitalist.